And we're coming to you live for the Build for Tough Studio. Boomer Esiason, Greg Giannotti. It's Boomer and Gio on the Fan. Simulcast across the country on CBS Sports Network. And wherever you are in the free Odyssey app. Good Monday morning. Everything else moved out of the way for the New York Jets yesterday in New York sports. We had the Giants play Thursday. Of course, the baseball teams are dead. You really haven't had much action from the winter sports yet. So the Jets were the thing everybody was focusing on out in London. And sometimes teams are so bad they're irrelevant, and that happens a lot around here where we don't even talk about a team because they're so bad and they're so out of it and they're just not interesting. And then you get the teams that are so bad that they are interesting and they are relevant, and that's where the Jets are right now. They are the worst team in football. It's not close, and what happened yesterday is some of the worst football we have seen in this stretch of terrible football, and I don't think I'm exaggerating. I mean, for Aaron Glenn to be that clueless throughout the game, for Justin Fields to be that bad, and the defense actually showed up and played well. They had fewer penalties than they had. They actually got a turnover. So all those things that were holding them back, they fixed a little bit and then got terrible in every other instance. So we're going to hear from Aaron Glenn and Jerry's update. If you hadn't heard some of his post-game stuff, it is absolutely mind-boggling, just like the end of the first half, just like the end of the game. He looks overwhelmed and like this job isn't for him. And by the way, he's got a guy in his staff at Steve Wilkes who was a one-and-done coach. We might be looking at the same thing. Good morning, Boomer. How are you?
Yeah, good morning, G. I'm like Kurt Warner. I'm at a loss for words as he was trying to explain to Rich Eisen yesterday what in the hell the Jets were doing at the end of the first half. I just have to say this. The defense did play well, and so did the Denver defense for that matter. So half the game was good. The other half of the game was horrendous. And as a former offensive player, it's actually embarrassing to watch an NFL football team go about their business the way that the Jets went about their business yesterday. I mean, if this were a podcast that we could actually start cursing and really just ripping into people, that's what we would do. But since we are on terrestrial radio, you have to be very careful about how you choose your words and how you use your words. All I can tell you, that was an embarrassment yesterday at the end of the first half. And I feel bad for Aaron Glenn, who's a former teammate of mine. I want him to do well. I mean, I don't know who is in his ear. I don't know what they were thinking about. I guess they just felt like, hey, look, let's just get out of the first half, within a score, and, we'll call it a success because we don't trust our quarterback, our $40 million quarterback. And here's the thing. Like, who decided that Justin Fields was going to be the quarterback? Did they ask Garrett Wilson if he wanted to reconnect with his college quarterback? Because if he did, Garrett Wilson's actions on the sideline, maybe he forgot about that conversation when he signed his new contract and got all into the coach's face, which I don't blame him because he's frustrated because they're not playing real football. I mean, that yesterday was like an 8-year-old Little League football game.
On
the
offense.
Way that they treated the offense and the way that they acted. I don't know what Tanner Engstrom is doing either. I'm like, what you should be doing if Justin Fields, and I told you this when they signed him, that he is a erratic and at times like disconnected player. And I would tell you that when I think that they gave $40 million to the quarterback that was replaced by Russell Wilson, who got $10 million from the Giants, that tells you all you need to know. Like, he was the backup to Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh, and they didn't want him anymore. So you gave him $20 million and you jettison Aaron Rodgers. And I understand why you would jettison Aaron Rodgers in this case, coming in as an untested head coach, untested offensive coordinator, untested general manager. I understand why you would do that. But why you went down this road with a quarterback that you obviously don't trust, and you obviously don't want to put the ball in his hands, especially when he looks like he did yesterday. And what he looked like he did yesterday looked to me like he mentally locked up in the middle of this. I just completely locked up. Like, he would drop back. There was more than enough time to throw, and he wouldn't throw it. And he just wouldn't throw it. Like, he didn't believe either what he was seeing or thought that he was throwing the ball poorly. There were sidearm throws when he was throwing. There were inaccurate throws. I mean, this is who Justin Fields is, and this is who he's been since the Chicago Bears drafted him. I watched all those years in Chicago. I watched last year in Pittsburgh, and now I'm watching what I think is his worst performance by far. And the way that the Jets offense is treating him, the coaches are treating him, is embarrassing.
Head coach and quarterback. That's how teams get good. That's how teams win championships. If you've got a great head coach, you got a great quarterback, you're always going to be in it. And the opposite is true, too, when you've got a terrible head coach and a terrible quarterback. Now, we know that Justin Fields and his career, even though he showed us a little something in week one, it's been a disaster since then, is not a good quarterback. And this is the beginning for Aaron Glenn, but some of the stuff that is going on with this team is unprecedented. That's how terrible it is. It's the worst performance of a quarterback in the history of the Jets organization, and that's saying something. The lack of turnovers was historic for the team. Negative net passing yards, historic for the NFL, especially in 2025. And we've seen a lot of football games, all of us here, everybody listening's watched a lot of football games. Have you ever seen a team run a fake punt just to run the clock out? That has never happened in a football game ever. Ever. And I'm confident in saying that. No team is going to use a fake punt just to run the clock out. And that's what they did. And they're standing there on the 50-yard line and just letting the clock run with the quarterback looking around. And then you got your wide receiver who, by the way, and I'm not disagreeing with what you said, got money. So during this rebuild, him and Sauce Gardner are going to talk about getting traded and all that stuff, screaming at the head coach going, what the F are we doing?
That is even the players know. Like, the players know. They understand. Tyrod Taylor should have been in that game yesterday.
Oh.
They should have been in the game. They should have had a chance to win the game. They could have had a chance to win the game. When you're back there and you're looking at the pass rush or you're not trusting what you're seeing downfield, I'm sorry. You are a detriment to your football team. And I don't want to come in here and kill players who have made it to the NFL. I appreciate the struggle. I appreciate, the fact that he has gotten this far. But that yesterday was a debacle from every angle, and the coaches are responsible. The coaches got to stand, and this is the problem with having a defensive head coach, by the way, because he doesn't understand what the hell he's looking at. I think he thinks that, that's great that our quarterback's out there because the other team's defense is doing great, so I'm a defensive coach. It's just that the defense is stopping him, and we're not giving him pass protection. My ass, he had more than enough pass protection.
He was just standing back there.
You can't, I'm like,
not
the
processing.
Ball has got to come out. You say whatever you want about Tua. When you watch him, that ball comes out. It's got to get out under 3 seconds. And obviously, I think by now, everybody has heard that, who has the longest time in the pocket to throw the football in the NFL? Justin Fields. He's got over 3 seconds. He's got over 3 seconds to throw the ball.
That's
so
unbelievable.
if anybody ever calls in again about, offensive line play and this, that, and the other thing, you have no idea what you're talking about. The quarterback behind the line of scrimmage is the guy that inspires the entire team. Look at what Jackson Dart is doing for the Giants. Look how all of a sudden there's new life in that franchise. That you can't wait to see him in his next game, which, by the way, is going to be in Denver, and hopefully Denver's sleepwalking through that game like they were sleepwalking through yesterday's game offensively.
That would have been.
I don't know what the hell they were doing. That would
have been one of the worst losses in Sean Payton's head coaching career if they had lost that game. To have all that happen on offense for the Jets and to lose that football game for the Broncos, Sean Payton would have had to reevaluate what the hell he was doing.
It's totally everything was off yesterday. I don't know if it was the flights. I don't know if it's going over to London. The other games that have been played over there this year actually have been pretty good. They've been pretty competitive. The offenses have been moving the ball. But yesterday, these two offenses were horrendous, and Justin Fields and the Jet offense and Aaron Glenn and his coaching staff have got to really, you got to be embarrassed. That's insane.
I don't even know if he knows how bad it is, which is the sad part about this.
If you have Garrett Wilson one-on-one, I would just throw the ball up to him 10 different times.
Well, that's what he said after the game was they're 0-6 now, but he's, we're winless. What are we doing? We got nothing to lose. Let's just
exactly.
He said that, Garrett Wilson, and what I think is exceptionally scary for the Jets and evaluating Aaron Glenn is I don't think he realizes how bad it is. And there's two examples why. He left Justin Fields in, didn't even think about benching him for Tyrod Taylor when the entire world was thinking otherwise. And then at the end of the game, he chastises Brian Costello about asking the question about making a quarterback change.
I'm just like, I had some bad performances, and I got benched after a couple of them. What I witnessed yesterday was it set back offensive football 50 years. They go to the wishbone, do something. It was horrendous. It was so bad that I almost threw up my eggs.
Wow.
That's how bad it was.
Yeah, vomit-inducing offense. Now, we know that Justin Fields is not going to get much better, and he is who he is. I don't know if Aaron Glenn's going to get better as a head coach, but as we sit here this morning, he's in over his head. He doesn't know what he's doing. And it is clear, not only because of the stuff on the field, but the stuff he's saying at the microphone as well. And if this is a team that continues, now they got some, I can't believe I'm saying this.
If Aaron Glenn, if they would have came out, if they would have came out in the second half and Tyrod Taylor was playing, and after the game, Aaron Glenn's, even if they lost.
Yeah.
And somebody said, well, you didn't want to stick with your guy. Well, my guy wasn't playing that well. I recognize that. He was struggling. I had to do something to jumpstart the offense. And it's just for this week. I just have to do something for the team. I have to give the team an opportunity to win, especially when we're in a really tight game like this. And my quarterback is completely locked up mentally. He's locked up. You could see it in his eyes, and you could see it in his play. And maybe the worst situation out of all of it is like on fourth down at the end of the game, okay, he ends up taking a sack. You cannot, you just got to throw it up somewhere.
Well, this is another problem that I was getting to with how clueless he is at the end of the game, of course, there would have been a 61 or 62-yard field goal. And Aaron Glenn, when asked about it after the game, didn't know how far that field goal was going to be. He said, I'm not going to have him kick a 68, 65-yard field goal in that situation. We had the field goal target line at the 35, which would have been a 52-yard field goal, and Folk had hit a 58-yard field goal earlier in the season. Now, 62-yard field goals 5 years ago, 10 years ago, were not common. Today, they are. When your offense is as bad as it is, throwing your kicker out there and having an opportunity to win the game with a 62-yard field goal isn't crazy anymore. Having him try to convert a first down on a 4th and 7 or 8, whatever it was, that was crazy at that point in the game. And then to not know how far the field goal was, and then to tell us that the target line was the 35, which is 6 yards closer than his longest field goal this year.
Then you also have to ask yourself, what do you have a better chance to win with? A potential 62-yard field goal attempt or fourth down with the ball in your quarterback's hands?
It's 100% the field goal.
Right.
They're not great options.
Right. Under the current set of circumstances that were happening and unfolding in front of him, and I feel, believe me, I feel sick to my stomach over it. I really do. And how hard it is to come in here in a more, an ex-teammate that you want to do well, that you want to have the job of his lifetime and to take the opportunity and become maybe the next Bill Parcells. By the way, that's the reason why he was hired. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He was hired, because he's a former Jet, but he also comes from the Parcells tree. And I'm sure Bill Parcells told Woody Johnson, this guy's ready. He's ready to be your next head coach. He's been with Sean Payton. He's been with Dan Campbell. Now it's time for him to take over the job, and he's ready for it. And Woody Johnson bought it, hook, line, and sinker, and they hired him. And I want him to do well. God, I want him to do well. I want somebody to do well over there. But watching this yesterday, it is really hard to sit here and support any aspect of what they're trying to do on offense. And the actions of Garrett Wilson tell me all I need to know, that, the frustrations are mounting. And if you were an offensive lineman on this team yesterday, and for all of those ex-offensive linemen out there, including yourself, listening to us talk about this right now, you would be livid if that were your quarterback holding onto the ball like that and not getting rid of it. Because those 9 sacks, you could say, the offensive line broke down, this, that, and the other. No. This was all on the quarterback. And I don't know how many times I've been saying this for 18 or 19 years on this radio station, that guy behind center is the inspiration for the entire freaking operation. And if he's playing like crap and you're not sure, you got to sit him down. You just got to sit him down. Hey, look, we're not benching you for the year. You come over here, you sit down. Tyrod, get out there and go run the offense. Because at least we'll throw the ball. We're not going to hold it, and we're not going to take sacks. And that, to me, is also one of the bigger parts of this whole thing. Yeah, the mismanagement at the end of the first half, the mismanagement at the end of the game, and then really not taking a player who is struggling, mightily, off the field and replacing him with somebody else at the most important position in the sport, to me, is I would say blasphemy, I guess. So I guess you could use that word for the rest of the players on the team.
Yeah, and then to be asked about after the game and think that the question is crazy about making a quarterback change. What? Shame on you for saying that.
And by the way, this is the same group that have now cut 2 returners, kick returners, because they fumbled the ball. Yesterday was one of the, again, it's just one of the worst quarterback performances. The only good thing that didn't happen is that he didn't throw interceptions. It was almost like he was afraid to throw the ball because he knew that there was going to be an interception. You know the out pattern that he threw to just Garrett Wilson, and he threw it behind him? Mm-hmm. Garrett Wilson's wide open for a first down. Yeah. And he throws it way behind him. I'm like, this is the accuracy issues. And then you see it later on in the game. And we've seen it in the previous games. Now, his first game against Pittsburgh, that was one of the best games I've ever seen him play. So that person or that player's in there, but that person did not show up yesterday. And that's why it's incumbent on the head coach to make a change and to try to win the game. You owe it to the rest of your roster. And I guess Aaron forgot. He was a player at one time, and I'm sure that he was on a defense that was really, really good, and the offense wasn't that good. And you know what goes on in these locker rooms. You know what goes on with, family members and agents and people talking. This thing is going to spiral out of control for Justin Fields now. It's completely off the rails.
All right, Boomer and Gio just getting started on this Monday morning. Going to hear some of the post-game sound from Aaron and Glenn that somehow made that game worse with Jerry Recco.